Welcome everyone to the Green Effect podcast. This is episode number 18, which is part 2 of 2 with the president, Brian Santos. Brian is the president of the Kitchener Waterloo Association of Realtors. He's also a real estate agent with Peak Realty here in town in Kitchener. And in episode 2, we're going to talk about some great topics. We're going to talk about the REBBA and the RECO reform. Lots of neat things coming down the pipe around just changing the process with real estate. Builders, we're going to talk about builders and salespeople. There's some changes coming possibly around the builder exemption for the use of real estate agents. What about auctioning your home? I challenge Brian to auction his next listing. You'll be interested in the answer. And we talked about some open bidding. Is that coming next? What about the mortgage rules and the impact on the Kitchener Waterloo Cambridge market? What's his thought about that? And then, of course, we get into the funniest business story he's ever had, and, of course, the ever-popular top 5 list. And for Brian, we've asked him the top 5 topics or issues facing the Waterloo region in the future. Great episode, a lot of great topics, and without further delay, here we go with Brian.
Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast. Finance, life, business, and everything in between. And now, your host, Stephen Green.
Okay, so in my brief visit to the bathroom a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about REBBA and RECO reform. So first of all, what is REBBA? What is RECO? Because my background is Italian, so RECO means something totally different. What is it? What does it stand for? And just tell me more about this reform.
Yeah, so REBBA reform is what we're kind of like hinting at before, though, too. It's legislation that governs realtors, and right now we're working under legislations from 2002. So we've been pushing quite a bit for an update on that, though, to make people happier, both the public and then also realtors, though, too, just to get some more modern words in there, though, too. Just so we can deal with electronic signatures and that type of thing. There's no reference to it right now. Looking at the multiple offer scenario, if what we're doing right now is the best way of doing it, should we have some different options out there in order to better serve our buyers and our sellers? The other thing, though, too, they're looking at, though, is there's a builder exemption right now where you can go into builders don't necessarily, they can trade in real estate and not have to have a license, or some people think they're having representation and they're not. They're talking to someone that's just trying to push a product for them and they think they're covered.
So tell me more about that, because I know builders will have either a realtor or they'll have a salesperson. So are you saying that there are, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are there issues with there being a salesperson selling the product?
I think so. So in Ontario right now, you can't trade in real estate unless you have a license. Mm-hmm. However, there's an exemption. If you're a new builder, you can trade in real estate and not have a license. So it seems unfair, that we're all, in the same sandbox, but, working under different rules. And I feel bad then for consumers sometimes if they think they're getting proper representation, which, like in your job, it's so important, and they're not. So I would love a more level playing field.
And I know there's some, and sorry, going off on a different topic here, but I know there's some builder sites that realtors will just not bring their clients to a builder site because, quote, the builder doesn't work with realtors, right? So You sometimes see that, but that's obviously what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, there's a challenge there. Like, if you work with the realtor, the fiduciary responsibility, like the obligation to show everything that's available, whether the builder works with you or not. But sometimes some builders don't make it easy. It's just like I said, it's like the same sandbox should be the same rules. So there's a bunch of different stuff in there, though. But right now, the government's going through public consultation up until March 15th. So people, I believe the website's REBBAreform.gov. Oh, I should remember this before. Let's find it afterwards, though. But yeah, you can go in there and like everyone from realtors to buyers, sellers, general public can go there and have their voice heard. And they're looking to make change. How long it'll take before they do this will be, REBBA 2002, it only took effect 2006.
Okay.
So sometimes these things take a while.
Yeah.
But right now, it's a popular topic, real estate, because everyone has an interest in it, both indirect and directly. And we have some unpopular governments right now, before the Liberals and now the Conservatives, and they're looking to, once they get involved into government, is make people happy. And sometimes some of these things is change the rules around a little bit, though. Try to garner some favor.
Yeah, shocker, right? Yeah. the fun life of politics.
Well, sure.
Right?
Like an example is just before the Liberal government left power in the province last year was the foreign buyers tax.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. So they put that in place though too, is trying to make people happy.
Among other things, yeah.
Among other things. But that was
right?
is the fair housing plan, and I can speak like firsthand from my experience. I didn't have any foreign buyers that I worked with.
Yeah. But
all of a sudden, like the market, it took a nosedive.
Yep.
And it was like from one week to the next.
Yeah, I remember that. There's a lot of stuff that went, and it's funny because there was things that they brought in, and then there was things that they took away, and it was just it was kind of a crazy time, that's for sure. So, so I cut you off, went a different direction. Anything else on the REBBA and the RECO reform?
Yeah, I think it's just like ongoing though too, and it's just I'm interested to see what's going to happen though. But I'm happy that they're just at least listening though, because we can't always just be doing the same thing. Always got to improve. So I'm happy at least they opened the door to this.
Yeah, and I think things move faster. Things change faster. Whether it's through, you're talking about e-signatures. We haven't the bank, and I know the bank, will move very slowly with things, but the bank hasn't adopted that yet, right? It's still something that maybe has been around a long time, but
Sure.
We're just not there yet. There's a lot of different, just things just go faster now, and it's when I hear 2002 is the last one, and it took 4 years. Well, we're going to get everything done, and then now we got to change it again, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stuff.
So we're hanging, like a lot of people are like really focusing on the open bidding section of that.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens, I'm not sure. Is that the best solution? Again, I'm not sure, but I'm happy we're just looking into things.
Yeah, open bidding could be interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, you can auction your house in Ontario. Anyone can auction their home. They're allowed to do that. Most people choose not to because you usually don't see as much. Like sealed bids work because you usually get the most amount of money for your home.
True.
So there's no, like, if anyone wanted to auction their home in Kitchener Waterloo right now, they could. They're allowed to.
You should try it for one of your listings, and I'll be there to record it. How about that?
There we go. That's the thing. Like, even if I had open bidding, like with my listing agent hat on, I wouldn't do it.
Why not though?
With a sealed bid, you see a lot higher offers. The problem is with the sealed bid, and like I said, sometimes that first person, the person that wins, they think they paid too much because sometimes they get carried away.
Yeah. Well, how many times do I hear it? Go in with your best offer.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they'll pay like $50,000, $100,000 more than that second bid.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like it's kind of like an issue with society right now. We have to be responsible for our actions, though. Yeah. Like if you bid that much, it's because you wanted it. But right now, sometimes things go awry. People want to blame everyone else. They want to blame, the mortgage broker told me to do that or said I was fine. Oh, the realtor, like you should know your finances. You should know if it's a good decision or not. Like no one forces you to do it though. But then if, during the bumpy road, people love, it's kind of like right now, just blame everyone else.
Yep. I mean, I never have that issue, Brian, just saying, but I understand what you're saying. It is a reactionary culture. Is that the right maybe word?
Yeah.
It's, this happened, it must be someone else's fault.
I just think people should take more responsibility though, too.
Yeah.
And with that sealed bid, I see on the listing side, sometimes, that winning offer blows the other one out of the water. Sometimes it's really close. You just don't know. But as a seller, you have more opportunity to get more money because you might have that one person that really, really wants it and they're willing to pay more.
Yeah.
But if they knew they could beat the other offer by $1,000.
Yeah. Then that becomes an issue, right? It's funny because it's like you got to decide what's right, but then what's right for who? The guy that wants to sell his house for a lot of money, or the guy that wants to buy it for as little as possible, and you get the guy who, listen, I've told my wife this, if we ever sell our house, no intention, but if we ever sell our house, I would almost want the financing condition in there. I don't want a problem at closing.
Oh, absolutely, right?
But
that's such a good point.
But that's not maybe that's not right for the seller because I could possibly get another $30,000. Is the risk of that not closing at closing time worth $30,000?
Oh, and that's something we're experiencing now, like more than ever. Again, when I first got in this business, you see deposits $500, $1,000. Like rarely did I see one more than $2,000. And my brother was in Toronto before, and we had to do an offer. It was just $25,000, $50,000 deposit and certified check. We're not quite there in Kitchener Waterloo, but definitely like the deposits gotten bigger and bigger here. Yeah. because people disappear now.
Yeah.
Before there was a word, like, like I never, so in last year was my 10th year in the business, I never had a home not close. Last year I had 2.
Yeah.
Where
Firm offers?
firm offers, and then the buyers just disappeared.
Wow. That's happening, eh?
Yeah, never happened to me personally, and last year it happened to me twice. So now I'm even more aware of what that deposit is to make sure that my sellers are covered as much as possible.
Yeah, we're seeing 10. We're seeing 10 and 20. I've seen 20,000 on a sixplex for sure.
Yeah, that's normal.
It's getting up there now. So.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And you hear stories like that though. Like, is $1,000 going to prevent someone from walking away?
No.
Where they feel like someone else is responsible for their mistake, they'll walk away, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right. We have seen those things go up. That's for sure.
But before, you've been in the business quite a while, so you've been like, yeah, what were the deposits? I don't know. I saw something for $500, $1,000. That was fine.
Because you knew you had a condition. You had conditions.
Yeah, and the
right?
deposit was a show of good faith.
Absolutely.
It's like, hey, I'm real. I'm not going to disappear. Whereas now it's like, all right, cool. You're real, but I want to make sure you're committed. You're not going to go anywhere.
That's right. Yeah, that's so true. And it's almost like that deposit becomes, if you got to resell that house, it's the time to back up everything else. Everything else falling apart. If you've got deals behind it, it's it just gets.
And
bigger,
people can't make up their mind. Like this afternoon, we're going to be competing on a home that's for sale with a buyer, and that buyer still wants to see homes. I'm like, but you're offering a property right now. Aren't we focused on this one? It's like, no, let's see what else is out there.
That's crazy. But that's what they have to do now, isn't it?
Almost.
They could have offers in on 3 different homes.
I can't. Yeah, you shouldn't, but they're just hedging their bets. But I think like that's so wild because like before, you see a house, you put your target on it and you work towards it. Where now it's like, we get it, great. If not, we want something else. It's like, it's scary.
It sounds like it. Yeah, you know what? In all honesty, I wouldn't want to be a realtor having to deal with that stuff and dealing with buyer expectations, seller expectations. Ooh, yeah, I wouldn't want to have to deal with that.
Well, seller expectation is a little bit tricky though. It can be a challenge because we saw like the market right now is red hot and doing super, super well. But we had a peak in 2017, and if you're, someone comes to, hey Brian, come check out my house. What do you think it's worth? And they're like, well, my neighbor in 2017. They got this much. I'm like, that was 2017. Someone went crazy. But they want that, and they want more than that.
Yeah, and it's not worth it. The same with rates. Like we tell people, so all these really low rates that were out there 4 or 5 years ago, now they're getting sticker shock because the rates are just higher. It is what it is, right? And I tell people, we have had a rate sale for 8 years.
Oh,
the sale just ended. Now you got to pay, and even 3.5%. Even 4%. Historically, it's winning.
A deal. So I started in 2008. This is at that time rates were about 6%. And my dad, being in the business, like I said, 45 years, like, Brian, this is a deal. Rates are great. He was used to 12%, even as high as like 21 for mortgages. He's like 6% is amazing. And since then they've gotten lower, and only recently they've started to creep up a little bit, and still not that bad.
Yeah. And this is where there's some education, because people, tell them 3.5%, and they're shocked. I'm not getting 2.05. No, sorry, but I hope you enjoyed it while it lasted. Because now you got to pay a little more.
I think it's also like that, that casino syndrome though as well. Or like, you talk to someone at the casino, everyone always won, but no one ever talks about the casinos or the people that lose at the casino.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're, with friends at a social setting or at a game, everyone's like, oh, my mortgage is this, and like, is it really? And people get really hung up on like that expectation of being really low, or you go to the casino, you're going to win.
So true. So true. So all my clients that are listening, just remember that. So on that note, I'm going to skip to something a little different. So mortgage rules and the impact on the market. So what are you seeing? And we talked about the offers and all this other stuff, but what are you seeing from the standpoint of all these mortgage changes?
Oh, yeah.
How is it impacting the market in KW in particular?
It's changed significantly, though. The biggest being is just affordability. I think we talked about it before at the beginning of the show. The increase in the condo market, though, I think has a direct effect of what people are able to afford. one, the prices are higher, and then two, that stress test. I think it makes sense, to prepare people though, but it's allowed people it's decreased their budget, so they can spend less on a home. And if they want to get into that market, so guess what? You can't buy that house anymore. You're gonna have to buy that townhouse, or maybe even that apartment.
Yeah, or somewhere outside, like a Wellesley. Baden's pretty expensive right now, but somewhere out there.
But there aren't even big differences in price. Sometimes people have the expectation that Wellesley or Baden's going to be that much cheaper. The prices are pretty comparable. There's not a huge difference.
Even Wellesley now, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you really have to go just like further west, just down, the Ingersolls, Woodstocks.
Yeah. Yeah, my in-laws are down there. It is cheaper for sure.
Yeah, significantly so. But yeah, that's where I've seen like these mortgage rules have just really affected buyers as they can afford less. And then even in the higher price points though too. Right now they need a bigger chunk of money if they want to get into the game.
Yeah, bigger down payments. It's you can afford it, but you need to do this.
Yeah. So people that already have a home and they're working their way up the ladder, or sometimes downsizing, they're okay because they have the equity and they've been there and they've seen the appreciation of their home. But what I feel for the most is the first time buyers.
Yeah.
It's so tough for them. I
worry for my kids. Like they're 16 and 18 this year, and I worry for what they're going to have to go through. Because it's just going to get more competitive. I don't know necessarily that incomes have kept up. I mean, very simple math. I'm probably butchering this, but I don't know if incomes have caught up with what you got to pay for a house, or a condo for that matter.
And it's still, I still fully believe like that's the dream, and I think I became became a man when I got my house.
Absolutely.
And I became like a member of the community. I felt so a part of Kitchener when I got my house. You start contributing to the community, for the schools, the roads, all that stuff. And I want other people to feel that great feeling as well. Like, 5 years ago, if you told me that I would enjoy mowing the lawn, taking care of the garden, I would have been like, you're crazy.
That's right.
And those are things right now that I take such pride in.
Yeah.
And it matters so much to me. So I want to make sure that other people have that ability, though, too.
Yeah. Well, for lack of a better term, too, it is that kind of Canadian dream, right?
Yeah.
Have your house, the picket fence, the car, the partner, the kids, the whatever.
To own your home, right? So I have a tough time. So the stress test, I get it, because it makes people a bit more prudent so they don't get carried away. But other things really bother me, though, like land transfer tax. That's one that really grinds my gears. I wish they made it easier for first-time buyers.
Yeah.
And that's my thing.
Yeah, closing costs in general, down payment requirements. It's just tougher.
It's tough, and I think also there's a big segment of the market that's just missing though too. We see a lot of new construction in town, but they're all just these big cranes and these high towers, and they're very small condos. 1-bedroom condos. That little middle ground where maybe that small bungalow where someone doesn't want to. They don't want their big, 2,500 square foot house, but they want a smaller home.
Yes.
Easier to manage. They don't really exist anymore.
No. Well, you can have it. You can have a bungalow at $500,000.
Yeah.
Right. That's the issue too.
But it's a tough sell when people call me over hey Brian, what's our house worth, right? And they bought their house for a couple $100,000 20 years ago, and then they're looking to cash out, and then you got to buy a bungalow for $600,000, and it's so tiny, and you're like,
yeah.
How do you get out?
Yeah. Yeah, you're selling and buying in the same bad market.
Yeah.
Bad market.
So they just stay in their house.
Yeah. Well, and that's why okay, so if we can just bring this full circle, that's probably why there's such limited inventory, right? Listen, my wife and I, we could move, but I don't want to buy in this market, so we're putting some money into the house. We're fixing this, we're fixing that, whatever the case may be. So you get that a lot more, right?
Sure.
So it's a vicious circle, if that's the best way to put it. So here's a question for you. Months on inventory in general. So we talked a little bit about it. Where do you see the months of inventory going? Where is this issue going to get worse before it gets better?
Well, it's decreasing significantly. We're sitting about half of our typical inventory right now. So usually speaking, the 10-year average in Kitchener Waterloo Association Realtors, we're sitting about 1,200 listings. We're about 700 right now.
Wow.
So half. That again explains why the prices are where they are. There's less for sale. And typically though too, we used to see 2 months on average to sell a home. We're about a month right now. Again, half the normal time.
It's just incredible. It's just because it got better, and then we're right back to where it was. One realtor told me we are right back to 2017 right now. right back to it, you know.
Yeah, we're close. It's just like different segments of the market, though. I responded differently. And like real estate changes all the time. Like when I got in the business, what was really popular was the suburbs, like the Dunes, the Hurons, Vista Hills. I sold a lot of homes out there. And in the last few years, there's been more and more demand for urban areas. The Uptowns, Waterloo, Victoria Park, downtown Kitchener, Eastward.
Yeah.
People love that. And I think, again, they want to be central, close to transportation.
There's that LRT again, yep.
Yeah,
it's coming up.
Right on. Amenities, being able to, walk to work perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or techie people, right?
Or
They're
restaurants.
Want to do that.
So it's just interesting how the needs of the buyers have changed, though, too.
Yeah, very true. Okay, so here's where we get into the fun part. Now, I sent you the notes, and I said this is your choice. So give me your funniest business story. And, again, you're the president, so you don't have to name names. You don't have to do anything like that. But give me your funniest business story.
I had a pretty funny story today that I'm actually very embarrassed about. And
this is going to be good then.
Yeah, it's not as much about business, but again, it's like my hammer I use every day, about my phone. And before I was in university, I used to do valet, like park cars at school. It's a secondary job, and this happened once, though, too, where we gave back a brown Infinity, to this one gentleman. We thought it was his car, and he thought it was, though, too, because he drove all the way home and got there, and the garage door opener wasn't working. And he had the same Rod Stewart CD in that the other guy had. Oh my God. And that's when we realized he had the wrong car. And we thought it was the right one, and he made it all the way home before he figured it out. And it was just like a terrible, embarrassing story. So earlier this morning, I had a game of squash at the club, and I lost. I don't take to losing very well. And I left my phone next to the squash court and then went up and changed, and a couple other people were in the change room, and there's a big table in the middle. Someone left their phone on top of the table. Well, lo and behold, someone has the exact same phone as me, the same case, with the same wear marks on it, and my desktop or my wallpaper is a beach photo. So I was like, I just grabbed it, threw it in my pocket, and walked out. I got home, like part of my routine in the morning, exercise, and then I like cleaning up the kitchen, and I put on the Google Home and listen to the news.
Yeah.
So it didn't play the radio station that I like, and I was like, wait a second, Google's not really behaving very well today. And Google stop, it did. I grabbed my phone, and I can't unlock my phone. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm freaking out because this morning I have our AGM, my first big presentation as president, to our membership, and we're going over the financials, which people are really concerned about. And I had a bunch of notes in my phone because I try to be paperless. I had all these notes there. I'm like, I can't unlock my phone. It must be crazy. Like, what's going on? So I reset the phone, and once I reset, it goes to a blank screen, thinking, put in your password. Password won't go in, and I'm going crazy. So then I call, and the tech support's really good, and they're like, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to wipe the phone, and then we'll start from scratch. So I wipe it, and it's not working. At this point, I'm like, I got to get to the meeting and, present, because there's, we had over 100 people there today. So didn't even go to my office, didn't have the computer or anything, checked my emails, just did the presentation. Finished, and then I got home, again at lunch, to pick up my phone, and I was like, hey, were you able to figure it out? Like, she's like, no, I've been on the phone with tech support for 2 hours. They can't seem to figure it out. And then while I'm there, someone calls her phone, and I say, hey, I've got your husband's phone. So I grabbed the wrong phone today, but it's the exact same phone, exact same case. And she's telling me I have the wrong phone. I'm like, no, this is my phone, Joy. This is my phone. She's like, no, you grabbed someone else's. So then I made arrangements for him. And it's funny, like his office was across from Bigamans. I was at Bigamans all morning. He sent me like 1 million emails. So he gave me back my phone, which is intact, but his, I was trying to sign in, I wiped it clean.
Oh, no.
Because that's what support said. Like, listen, your password's not working. Wipe it clean and let's start over. So I wiped his phone clean and gave it back to him. I'm terribly embarrassed. Thankfully, it's like Google phone. They're pretty good. Like, everything saves in the cloud. Like, I added a contact yesterday, and it automatically saved to my cloud storage. I'm hoping he has that too. But I owe him a lot. He's like, buy me a beer. I'm like, I owe you way more.
Might be more than a beer.
So I'm so embarrassed by that. But yeah, the exact same phone. And I had left mine like by the court. He left it on the table, but on the way out, I'm like, yeah, that's my phone. I just grabbed it, put it in my pocket.
Oh, no.
And away I went.
So let me make sure I understand this then. You did the board meeting this morning off the cuff with no notes?
Well, then thankfully, like we have such wonderful staff. They had printed notes there for me, though. And dodge a bullet, though. But I was in such a panic, though, too. And it really threw off my morning because then I was working on a real estate deal yesterday evening. Mm-hmm. I wanted to tie up those loose ends this morning with the seller and a bunch of other things, though. So I was just freaking out. So showed up to the AGM and I was all rattled.
Oh, that's the worst. The worst.
So I was just... yeah, so I'm happy I have my phone and I'm happy my phone works. I feel absolutely awful that I wiped this other nice gentleman's phone clean.
Well, if he's listening, I'm pretty sure now that he can expect, a case of beer or two or see what was wiped from the phone.
Oh my goodness, though. It was just one of those stories. And it just reminded me of that valet story, though, too, where we gave the guy back the Infinity with the same Rod Stewart CD. At the time.
So Infinity drivers, they're into Rod Stewart, it sounds like.
Apparently. That's so it's just flashbacks of that story. So I feel incredibly foolish, though. So I guess it all happened when you're at the grocery store. Sometimes you think you got your car and you're trying to open it and it won't open.
Yes.
But it's just funny that I had the same, very similar desktop. It was a picture with the cloud. You can't see what the phone is when it's locked.
So what you got to do then is you got to change your main desktop thing when you turn on the phone.
Well, my wife's been saying that a picture of her for the longest time.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say it. Put that on there. Okay, that's not my wife, right? And then off you go. It's not your phone.
I've been in trouble on that. That's what that was a comment she makes. She's been telling me, why don't you have a picture of us? Because right now I got a picture of Sea-Doos on the beach because I love motorized sports. So I think that Sea-Doo picture is going to go soon.
Yeah, I think it is now. I think you're pretty much done with that.
So maybe that's not the super real estate related, though. That happened today, and I think it's kind of funny.
Nope. Hey, we're all about funny here. It's all good. It doesn't necessarily have to be business, so that's good for me. It's good that I know that someone else that doesn't have their phone would go absolutely insane.
Oh, my goodness. So. I was in a panic. And then all presentation, it's just like this phantom phone in my pocket I kept reaching for. And then, again, we're supposed to start at 9:30. I'm like, I got no time.
Yep.
I've got a watch, but I swear it's just for decor. Is it even the right time? I think generally it's more or less correct, but I had no idea.
But it looks good.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. I get it. Absolutely.
And then I was worrying because I knew we were going to be here today. I'm like, I know where the address is. The address is in my phone. I get in my car. The car tells me where to go. Oh. I was in a panic.
Just over the loss of one device like that, eh? Isn't that crazy?
It's like it's my best friend and my worst friend.
Yeah.
I go to bed with the phone. I wake up with the phone.
Okay, whoa. Okay, so this is just about, what is it? Finance, life, and business. Whatever you do with your phone on your own time, buddy, it's all good. Top 5 list. The top 5 items facing the region of Waterloo in the future. What do we got? That you see, and it can be in your capacity as Prez, or it can be in your capacity as a realtor. Either or.
Sure. I think the number one issue affecting the region right now is just transportation. We have to continue to make it better. It's still a real big frustration among when you're stuck on the 401 parking lot.
No, that's for sure.
It can take an hour to get there or 3. It's incredibly frustrating. And we talked about the Go. We have a 2-way service. It's still not where it needs to be. It's incredibly frustrating, though. It takes 2 hours. It's over $30. I was like, I'll still drive. I feel bad when I drive to Toronto all the time alone. I'm like, this shouldn't happen. So I think that's the biggest thing affecting our region is just transportation and making that corridor to the 401 more accessible and easier for people. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. If I could just see that one, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that would be it. Because I'm proud of what we've been doing here in Kitchener Waterloo, and I'm excited about what's to come. I think we're definitely on the right track here, and I've loved living here so much though too. Just like how much has gotten better. Like, I love eating out in restaurants, and restaurant-wise, man, this place is really good now.
Yeah, it sure is. And do you think, once we solve the transportation issue, I mean, we're already the tech sector, right? We've got the Googles, we've got, and BlackBerry is still a player. I mean, you might joke about it, but they are still a player.
Absolutely.
Like I said, we got Google, D2L is here. We've got all these tech companies and even startups. Do you think that have we become very reliant on having them here? Is there a risk? Do you think it'll continue?
I think it will continue. Just like I think it just it's that vibe and that flair that the city has to be able to be innovative and to change from going from manufacturing based to this tech base, which is great because like all the people that from BlackBerry have gone off and spun off and made all these absolutely wonderful companies. I love meeting clients and finding out what they do, and sometimes have no idea, and so I get a kick because there's some jobs that are so I can understand. A teacher or someone who works at a bank. But sometimes I meet some people like, oh, what do you do? And they tell me, I'm like, what? Huh? How? And it's so cool, and all the cool companies that we have, right here. Even like our friend down the street, his office not very far from here, and they make inner tubes. It's so cool, like inner tubes for hotel pools, so people can go down lazy rivers and stuff. I think that's so cool. There's so many there's so many different cool, amazing companies that are based out of Kitchener Waterloo. So as long as we can give people like a great place to live and work, they'll want to be here. And I rented a place a few months ago to someone who moved here from San Francisco, and I'm like, you're moving here from San Francisco? And he's like, I love it here, and it makes me so proud.
Yeah, that is neat.
That they love what we have to offer here, though. So just more and more of that. With my real estate hat on, I think we have to continue to work more together across the province. Before there was a lot more fences between our communities, whether it be like Kitchener or Waterloo or Cambridge or Guelph. And more we're continuing to work together, which I'm really, really proud of. It's something we've been working really hard on for a long time. So hopefully by the end of the year, there'll be 22 of the 38 associations. They'll be sharing one MLS system.
I heard about this.
It's absolutely amazing. I'm so proud of that. When I first started working, we had a system. Cambridge had one. Sometimes you go show a house, and you get there, and it's in Kitchener, but it wasn't on our Kitchener system because someone in Cambridge had listed it in Kitchener. I'm like, well, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
So we're really, really, really close to having 22 of the 38 associations all using one system, which I think is absolutely beautiful.
Who are your holdouts? Come on, throw them under the bus. Who are the holdouts?
There's a really big fish that are doing their own thing, though. It's the biggest one is Toronto.
Oh, okay, they're doing their
own. Toronto, but they're like a big, huge association.
Yeah. And
they're kind of like doing their own thing, but we're working together with cities like London, so Kitchener, Simcoe, Cambridge, Guelph, Mississauga. So it's absolutely wonderful. The spirit of cooperation, where we all have this common goal to do as much as we can for our members. And I think it's absolutely amazing. So I'm so proud of that, though. And I want that to grow.
But it's so weird that it's all different. You would think they would just all be the same, or at least regionally be all the same.
It never made any sense to me.
Yeah.
So I'm so proud that we're like almost there. Because when I first got in business, I'm like, how are we all working together? And then I got involved like behind the scenes. I'm like, we're never going to work together.
Yeah,
and now we're as close as we've ever been, and I'm so pumped up for it, though, because it just makes sense.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, especially, Kitchener Waterloo Cambridge, or Kitchener Waterloo Cambridge Guelph and London, because we have people, and again, going back to all the stuff we spoke about, they're going to London, they're going to they could be going down the road to Ingersoll, Woodstock to find something that's a little bit cheaper and makes sense for whatever they're buying, right? So it's and then you said earlier too, you got people who are telecommuting, right? So it's to have it on the same system.
And then just the efficiencies of scale, like it's just easier to work together that way, though, versus all trying to do our own little thing. Yeah. It's a lot more complicated that way. Yeah. I think the great thing about our MLS, it was built on the spirit of cooperation, right? I have a seller, you have a buyer. Let's bring that together and figure out a deal. So for all these little fences and stuff, that's not helpful for anyone.
No, it definitely isn't. That'll be good for people. That'll be very, very good.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. You were talking a little bit there, and something that just came to mind I thought I would ask you about. What are your thoughts, or even the association's thoughts on the student rentals? So all the towers that are going up on King Street around Laurier, Waterloo, what are your thoughts on that? Is everyone okay with it? Is it working out well? What are your thoughts on it in general?
Yeah, it's like an ongoing conversation. That's something that's really changed from when I was in school, though, too, where you had these homes and people rented a room. Now there's all these big towers. You drive down Columbia or King Street, and I'm amazed at how much that's changed, though. It's a bit of a wild
Your kid
west.
lives better than you do at their house, for crying out loud.
Yeah, you drive by some of these places, it looks like clubs sometimes, right? With all the lights and cool lobbies.
Can I come? I'll go to school with you. It's all good.
Yeah. So there's so much talk about that, though, too. If it's too many, not enough. It's just kind of a little bit, it's interesting, though. But, I think both those universities are there, and they're not going anywhere, and students have to live somewhere. Yeah. And are they better in a place like that or living in, an unsafe basement? So
Good point.
it's just interesting.
Yeah.
We're rental, like Waterloo rental licensing, right?
Yeah.
It was meant in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
But the other side of things, can be a real pain though too, right?
Yeah.
And adds a lot of extra costs for like smaller time landlords. They're just trying to like have a little nest egg for their retirement.
Yeah.
So it's like everything. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and we've heard from that group as well, and they said, we're doing it because we are dealing, and they're right, we are dealing with a vulnerable sector. I get it.
Totally agree.
Yeah, criminal reference checks and fire extinguishers, or whatever else they look at.
Makes
right?
sense.
And then, so when you see the condos call them condos, when you see those go up, you kind of look at them and you're like, well, yeah, maybe I would rather have my kid live there. Brand new, they've got everything they could possibly dream of and whatever. But then you wonder, what does it do to the overall housing economy in that area in particular?
Yeah.
What about, are we going to have a high vacancy issue because Laurier, Waterloo, and Conestoga can't keep up with, are they growing at the same level? And I know you don't know these answers. I'm hitting you with this as a surprise, but, are they keeping up with the growth of this housing solution, right? So a lot of questions.
It's tough. Sure. I think the biggest thing though too, it gets back even the same issue we're having with homes, is affordability. Because as cool as some of those places are, I wonder like how expensive they are for students. Because I was a student not long ago, and it's hard and it costs a lot. So sometimes those homes are a bit more reasonable for them to rent.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting, and I've heard so many like mixed reviews, like there's not enough student rentals out there, and then some stories say there's too many of them. So it's a bit hard to track because there's so many different ways people look at numbers though.
Yeah, very
But
true.
it's fascinating, and I'm just blown away how much it has changed though. Just driving down, Columbia.
Yeah.
Or King,
Different
and just
world.
like all those towers though. In terms of urban planning, I'm a bit disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit cold and uninviting.
Yeah.
So that's something really proud of our communities here, though, too. A lot of it's nice. You need that retail, the ability to walk, and you just tower.
Around the schools like that, yeah, that's exactly it. And then you see a lot of, and I don't know how the math on these work, but you see a lot of the houses that are now boarded up, and those 1, 2, 3 homes are coming down. And
Giant
something's going
tower.
up. Yeah. It might be 10 levels, and I'm very, very sure that is much more lucrative than 3 single family homes. Totally get it, right? You just wonder, and again, we don't have any numbers to support anything we're talking about right now, but you just kind of wonder what the future holds. And then I have investors in London that are buying. They're not purpose built. They're
Student condos.
No, they're homes that are they're duplex. They're single family duplex, triplex, whatever. But they happen to have student tenants in them, right? And that's been great because people are renovating them and they're using them, right? And that's a great student experience. But you don't have, like you said, you don't have like the towers that are going up everywhere. They're just regular homes, you know, a little less intimidating, maybe, But again, is London going to look like we look? Or is London in 5 years going to look like what we look like right now? I don't know. Maybe.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it's an interesting time up there, that's for sure. So. Okay, so shameless plug time. If someone wants to reach you in your capacity as the president to voice their complaints, displeasure, and all the other fun things, where do they call you, Brian?
Yeah, that's Stephen Green at rbc.com. Yeah, is that right?
I have to edit that one out. On the flip side, if they have some great things to tell you, or they'd like to use you as their realtor, how can they reach you there?
Sure, I'm easy to reach directly on my cell phone, 519-404-9967, and then email Brian with an I, and it's at makingrealestateajoy.com.
That's cool.
And
I
that's
like
also
that.
the Instagram handle. My wife's name is Joy, so Making Real Estate a Joy.
Attaboy. Happy wife, happy life.
Well, that's it, though.
And you got to get that picture of her on your phone. Just saying, let's solve the problem.
So I don't get in trouble.
That's all right. That's all right. Hey, listen, Brian, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate the feedback and the outlook of the region. Because I know, as you said, you're part of the different committees. You've I'm sure you now see everything from a different light and kind of see what everybody sees. So it's great having you on and getting that outlook from you. So.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed the chat. I love engagement, and this is all about that though too. Just it's been wonderful, and you're doing a great job. So thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you so much. So since you said all that, you're welcome back anytime. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, we'll talk to you soon. And there you go. There is part 2 with Brian Santos, president of the Kitchener Waterloo Association of Realtors. Hey, thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Twitter with the handles RBC Stephen Green. And until next time, we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Green Effect Podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Google Play so you catch the next episode. And don't forget to leave a review. Much appreciated.